And everybody, shareholders, directors, member of the media, all persons in attendance in person or online. Good morning and welcome to the annual general meeting of MFS Capital Partners Limited. It is now approximately 10:18, and so we are running about 18 minutes late, and for that I apologize. This came from some technical issues that we had to resolve. We are now ready to go, and so we welcome you to this morning's meeting. First, may I take the notice convening the meeting, this morning's meeting. The notice of the meetings having been circulated for the required period, I propose that the notice convening the meeting is taken as read. Would a shareholder propose and second the following motion? That the notice convening the meeting having been circulated in the prescribed time be taken as read. Shareholders, you will be able to indicate your motion by using the raise hand feature in the left-hand corner for those persons online. The raise hand option is located at the bottom of your screen. You will see the green icon for raise hand in the left-hand corner. Can I have a motion for the convening of the meeting, for the approval of the notice convening the meeting? Any shareholder? Your name? Tamara Webley.
MFS Acquisition Limited.
Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Stephen Dawkins, shareholder. I would ask that the shareholders use the chat feature on the platform to type for or against accepting the meeting, the notice convening the meeting. In the meantime, may I have those present raise their hand in support of the motion? How many can we go again? All in favor?
As in person.
In person have it. Any accounting for the online members? We have a go. Okay. The ayes have it. I declare the motion carried. Mr. Secretary, can you confirm that we have a quorum this morning?
Confirm, Chair.
Okay. May I invite Ms. Chantal Stanley to lead us in prayer?
Good morning, everyone. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, as we gather here today in this forum, we come before you with hearts filled with gratitude for blessings you have bestowed upon us throughout this past year. We thank you for guiding us, sustaining us, and granting us the wisdom and strength to navigate the challenges and successes we have experienced. We humbly ask for your presence to be with us during this meeting. Grant us clarity of mind and wisdom as we discuss important matters concerning the future of our company. May our decisions be guided by integrity, fairness, and a commitment to the well-being of all stakeholders involved. Dear God, bless each member of our team with insight, creativity, and discernment as we seek to chart the course for the year ahead. Oh Lord, help us to work collaboratively, respecting diverse perspectives and embracing unity in our shared goals. We pray for your continued guidance and blessings upon our company, its leadership, employees, and all those associated with our organization. May we continue to strive for excellence, uphold ethical standards, and make a positive impact in our industry and community. We commit this meeting into your hands, Lord, trusting in your divine wisdom and providence. May your presence be felt among us as we conduct our business. May your blessings be upon us now and always. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. We thank you, Chantal, for a job very well done. Directors, shareholders, members of the press, all present online and in person, I again welcome you to this morning's meeting. We are very happy to be here this morning to present to you our performance, a report on our performance for the preceding year. Given the recent activity, I'm pleased to see the number of persons turning out this morning looking very alert and ready to go. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce the members at the head table, starting, of course, with on my immediate left, Mr. Dino Hines, Director and CEO of MFS Capital Partners. To Dino's left is Mr. Robert Barnes, Director and COO. To Robert's left is Anika Jengeli, Director and Chair of the Finance and Audit Committee. Next to Mrs. Jengeli is Christine Johnson-Spence, Director and Chair of our Remunerations and Corporate Governance Committee. And I am Clyde Leopold Nesbitt, Director and Chairman of this company. I would like also to introduce our Corporate Secretary, Asparsec, represented by Mr. Mark Ramsey, and the General Manager, Miss Janelle Lawrence, who are present here. Mrs. Lawrence. Okay. I also acknowledge our mentor, Mr. Herbert Hall, who is sitting here in the audience with us. Welcome, Herbert. Mr. Emile Lafayette, representing our company auditors. Baker Tilly, Strawn Lafayette should be here. Oh, yes, sorry. Emile, welcome. Mr. Secretary, any apologies for absence?
None received, Chair.
Thank you. Any proxies for us to deal with?
None.
None proxies. Okay. So we are into the chairman's opening remarks. Greetings again to all the shareholders and members of the board and all those present at this morning's meeting. And on behalf of the members of the board and the management team, I would like to thank you for your continued trust and the support you give to us in MFS Capital Partners. As you know, today we are reporting on our first full year of stewardship and management of the company, having recently acquired what for all intents and purpose was a company facing some severe challenges. It was a year filled with its challenges, its opportunities, and of course its achievements. But we are excited about what we have achieved, and we look forward with great optimism to what is to come. We look forward to an interesting and productive meeting in which we will not only report to you on the past year, but in which we will be addressing the acquisition of Microfinance Solutions Limited and present to you for your consideration and approval a number of critical resolutions that will allow us to ensure the long-term viability of your company and increase the value of your investments. Again, I have already introduced our board, and this is the team that over the year we have worked together to ensure that we secure the interests of MFS Capital and to increase the value of your investments. But let me take this opportunity to introduce the members of the management team here with us this morning. Again, sitting on my immediate left is our CEO, Mr. Dino Hines, who has led us in the operations of the organization in a very effective and professional manner, and for which we would like to give him a special recognition and thanks for his effort over the year. Next to Dino is Robert, who is our Chief Operating Officer and who is basically the Energizer Bunny in the organization. Robert, thank you for your work over the year.
Thank you, sir, Chair.
Our Chief Financial Officer is Dr. Keisha Christie Walters, who is sitting in the audience. And we would like to thank you and welcome you to this morning's meeting. Ms. Chantal Stanley, who just prayed with us, prayed for us, is a group accountant and our compliance officer. These four persons consist the management, the leadership team of the organization, who have worked on behalf of you, the shareholders, and who have consistently added value to the organization over the year. Over the year of our operation and continued going forward, we are guided by 5 basic core values. The first is that we put our customers first, as always, in that we place a heavy emphasis on understanding the customer's need, in putting the customers first, and in creating the necessary product and activity to ensure that we satisfy the needs of our customers. The next core value is service beyond expectations. Through a focus on excellence and going the extra mile, we meet and exceed our clients' and stakeholders' expectations. We also support a culture of integrity, which is the bedrock of what guide our actions and decisions in MFS Capital Partners. We will continue to maintain a high culture of high integrity to guarantee that we retain the trust and confidence of all our stakeholders. The next core value item is our staff. Through adequate compensation, showing care for the needs, and fostering involvement in the company, we maintain a high level of motivated workforce. We also seek to ensure the continued training and development of our staff to ensure that you, our stakeholders, are given the best possible service from us. Finally, we stay within regulations. As a regulated organization in this country, we will continue to maintain focus and strict adherence to compliance matters with our regulatory guidance and to ensure the long-term success of the organization. We seek always to work very closely with all our regulators to ensure that not only the laws are maintained, but the spirit of the laws and the integrity of our business is always maintained. Through most of the year, access to funds for major capital expenditure and other general purposes was challenging, as on the face of it, the company was still insolvent. With this acquisition, the access to funds will become much easier as our company will boast a stronger balance sheet. For the finance year ending June 30th, 2023, total assets increased from 14.2 million to 65.6 million, while total liability increased from 62.8 to 105.5 million. Accumulated deficit has improved from 147 million to 138 million. The company's equity position improved from a negative 35.6 to a negative 26.8 million. The CFO will, of course, give further details on the finances in her presentation that will follow. And I am happy to announce that earlier this year, the Bank of Jamaica gave its no objection to MFS Capital Partners acquiring Microfinance Solutions Limited. The transition is being finalized by our attorneys and the relevant government agency. Microfinance Solutions Limited will be a wholly owned subsidiary of MFS Capital Partners Limited. Microfinance Solutions Limited is a money service business that operates a Cambio and offers money services such as remittance and bill payments. The company is actively seeking to divest the legal portfolio companies it inherited when we acquired this company. These legacy subsidiaries have been weighing down the company's performance with their tax liability. Discussions are ongoing, and we should be able to achieve this before the next financial year. Our corporate structure. MFS Capital Partners will be the parent company for a money service business offering bill payments, remittance, and Cambio service. The company will also seek to acquire a significant stake in a securities dealer firm. The company will soon be active in the real estate investment and development space by seeking suitable partners to execute a certain real estate projects. Our business outlook. The economic trends, notwithstanding the current market environment with tight liquidity, the company still has several opportunities to explore. The parent company, MFS Acquisitions Limited, will continue to provide financial support if and when required. The high borrowing rates are expected to start retreating later this year. The landscape continues to be competitive as more firms look to acquisitions, private equity, and private credit as a means of improving revenues and profits. The company will continue to be compliant in this almost ever-changing regulatory environment as we continue to work with the Stock Exchange and its subsidiaries, as well as the Bank of Jamaica. And this, of course, will be given support and guidance by our mentor, Mr. Herbert Hall. The strategic summary for the upcoming year. Strategies for the coming year. The company will seek further growth in the coming year and will acquire a significant stake in a growing securities dealer firm. This will give the company another avenue from which we will raise funds. With this captive securities dealer firm, the company can easier access the capital markets and likely at a lower cost. The resolutions we hope to ratify today are all geared towards further growth and development of this company. The company will also seek to build out its real estate investment and development segments of the business. Microfinance Solutions, MFS, already owns a parcel of land that is prime for development and will seek suitable partners to develop these properties and realize a return for your company. MFS will seek to expand its branch network to take advantage of a super agency status for its remittance partner. The company is seeking to establish a central unit which will offer shared services across the group of companies. We will continue to improve our website and social media presence. The company will continue to leverage any opportunities that may present itself and the synergies across the MFS group of companies. Environmental and social guidance initiatives. The company will continue to invest in companies with strong cash flow. We will continue to be a good corporate citizens through our various contributions to various charities in Jamaica. We believe that as a good corporate citizen, we have a commitment to help in the support of the needy in this country. The company's board remains strong and diverse. All board members receive further training in corporate governance during the year. The subsidiary boards will also be closely monitored and will be highly trained and prepared for their task. With the acquisition of MFS Solutions Limited, Microfinance Solutions Limited, the company will return to solvency and robust profits. And as the company is committed to maximizing shareholder value, we will explore a dividend policy so that shareholders can realize a return without having to divest their shares. MFS Capital Partners Limited will seek further long-term growth through further strategic acquisitions. Indeed, we are already exploring a few of these opportunities. We believe we have a robust pipeline of transactions ready to go. In that regard, we anticipate that the future for MFS Capital Partners Limited is bright as we take advantage of the opportunities that present themselves. We anticipate that with these resolutions that we are planning to pass today, we anticipate that these resolutions will enable us to take advantage of opportunities that will exist in the marketplace. And so we look forward to your support when these resolutions are presented this morning. We thank you again, shareholders and stakeholders, for your ongoing support. We are both excited and confident in the firm's direction and in our future prospects. And we look forward to having you on board and to continue working with our regulators, our stakeholders, our management and staff. Any questions and comments on this presentation will be taken at the end of all the presentations. We thank you for being here again, and this is the end of my presentation. Thank you. We now move to the CFO for her to give our overview on the company's performance. COO?
CFO.
CFO.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I am Dr. Kesha Christie, the CFO's report for the year ended June 30th, 2023. MFS Capital Partners Limited, total other revenue of 32.9 million, net profit attributable to shareholders was 8.79 million, and recorded an increase in overall assets of 51.2 million for this financial year. This was the first full financial year of reporting and operations in the acquisition in 2022. Our operating efficiency. For the year ended June 30th, 2023, the operating and administrative expenses were 23.1 million. This was 70.02 of the overall other income, or total income, increasing from 65% in the year 2022. The company's aim is to be more operationally efficient by reducing this ratio. Even though expenses have decreased in 2023, moving from 47.9 million to 23.35 million, which is a significant decrease. Yes. I'm sorry. This is not reflective in ratio positively, as revenue has also decreased from 66 million to 32.9 million. Our total assets. Total assets for the year ended June 30th, 2023, changed positively during the year by 51.4 million. This change was attributable to a loan of 24.2 million to Microfinance Solutions Limited and a 2.2 loan to MFS Acquisition Limited. The due to related party amount also increased from 5 million in 2022 to 47.07 million in 2023. This represents a loan of 42.07 million from MFS Group Limited to MFS Capital Partners. Some of these funds were used to provide financing through the intercompany loan to MFS Limited and MFS Acquisition Limited. Our shareholders' equity. There were positive movements in shareholders' equity during the year. It moved from a deficit of 36.11 million to a deficit of 26.82 million. However, the company did not record any movement in share capital. Our outlook. We're at the final stage of the acquisition of MFS Solutions Limited, which is the first acquisition to be completed under the current leadership team. We expect to see a more faster and robust growth after the transaction has been finalized. The Board of Directors, on behalf of the Board of Directors, we wish to thank you, our valued shareholders, our management, and employees for your unwavering support and commitment to helping us achieve our business objective, and we look forward to your continued support.
Now, we thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Doc. Now, may I invite our CEO to give his remarks?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, fellow directors, the executive team of MFS Capital Partners, MFS Limited, our stakeholders, other team members. Thank you very much for having me this morning. All right, so this morning, my presentation will follow along these lines. Firstly, I will give a little update on the market environment. This is where we operate. I will give an update on our business activities, our business in specific form, the structure of our organization. I'll present some information on MFS Limited and the strategic part for MFS Capital Partners. All right, so interestingly, we started this journey about 20 months ago when we first acquired MFS Capital Partners. And during that time in 2022, the world was coming out of a pandemic. There was excess liquidity being pumped into the market globally and also locally to pop up the economies. And what this had led to is high levels of inflation. And currently, we're seeing where interest rates have been really high as central banks have looked to combat the inflation. We believe that we are at the tail end of this cycle, and we expect that inflation, which has started already abating both locally and internationally, will continue to come down. And our expectation is that central banks will start reducing interest rate later this year. Some countries which are lagging, maybe next year. The environment also saw exchange rate instability. We have seen locally where during this period interest or exchange rate has moved from a level of about 150 to 1 to now we're over 156. The interesting thing though is that Jamaica, like other countries, has now started having two-way trading in terms of our two-way movement in terms of our exchange rate. So no longer is it going in one direction, but there's opportunity to trade along the curve, both up and down. There's also been a fair amount of instability in terms of emerging market debt. Interest rates have gone up. During this type of environment, there's always more or less a movement or a flight to quality, and therefore certain countries, lower rated debt countries, would find it more challenging or would have to pay more to raise funding. All right, so despite all of this, and during a period which our business seemed to have been relatively quiet, and I know that our shareholders have always said we need to make more noise, we need to speak more. We have been working behind the scenes, and this has put us where we are today, right? So we have looked to clean up our subsidiaries over the period. And when I talk about the subsidiaries, I'm speaking specifically to our legacy subsidiaries. These are companies which, when we did our acquisition, it was not our intention to actually take these companies. We have seen, though, what has happened to the vendor, and therefore we took the decision that we, instead of pursuing a path to say, okay, this was not the original setup or agreement as such, we took the path to look to clean these companies up and look to divest them. This has taken a little longer than anticipated because none of us here today are shareholders none of us are directors of these companies. And therefore, we have to get these legacy directors to sign, to do the annual returns, to get all of these things done so the companies can be in a position where we can divest them. And therefore, we are looking to have this completed by the end of our financial year, so therefore we can move forward with a cleaner and a better balance sheet. We have looked to develop new products to offer to the market. This is where we earn most of our revenues from during the last financial year. Receivables financing, private credit. In fact, my argument has been to our CFO that this should now be classified as core income because it is now a part of the business that we offer as part of our company. We have looked to strengthen our compliance and corporate governance framework. We have brought in the necessary talent to ensure that this is done. We have a strong team led by our COO who ensures that as a company, we meet all the stock exchange regulation. We have done a lot of due diligence on the companies that we have been targeting to ensure that these are companies we want to take on as part of our portfolio companies. We have gone about recruiting and training of employees. As a regulated company, there's a lot of training as it relates to the employees that can work for us. There's fit and proper AML training, all of these things. We have to ensure that as an organization, we are on top of that, right? And we have been working with our regulators to ensure that we do things the right way and that we complete the things that we're pursuing. So at the core, we're a private equity firm, right? And these are what we offer. What we push for mostly is our private equity to acquire stakes in private companies. We offer private credit, and this is to help small and medium-sized companies to boost their balance sheet and provide working capital. Because of our skill set, we have decided to also offer business advisor services where we assist companies who are looking to come to market to improve business plans and other areas that we can assist them, and we charge a fee for that. All right, so in terms of our executive team, and this executive team is wider than the one the chairman spoke about. We have Tamara Webley, who is the CEO for Microfinancing Solutions. We have Laverne Wright, who is the compliance officer. You have already been introduced to Robert, who is the COO for the group. Dr. Christie, who is the Chief Financial Officer. And also Chantal Stanley, who is our group accountant. So I also want to acknowledge and to thank the other levels of staff who continue to work extremely hard and to push our business and to help us to achieve all our objectives. All right, so the structure is one that we think is really simple and one that we think will work, right? One of the most important aspects of what we're looking to set up and what we have been setting up is our shared services. Our portfolio companies must be profit centers. They go out, they make money. We're freeing them up to do that, right? Our shared services, which comprise of our HR department, our marketing, accounting, and compliance function, will offer this service to all the portfolio companies. So as I said, the portfolio companies can focus on going out and generating revenues for the organization. All right, so let's talk a little money and introduce the audience to MFS Limited in a little more detail. All right, so the company is the flagship company. And when we started the journey in terms of acquiring MFS Capital Partners, which we anticipated we would have gotten as a shell company, the immediate aim was that microfinancing solutions would become the first and the core subsidiary of that company, and from that would build out other companies. And as such, we named the parent company after the subsidiary, right? The reason why this was our strategy is that it gave us immediate exposure to what our core business lines were at the time and what we're looking to be and to become as we go forward, right? And our core business line is money services, investments, real estate, right? And the target that we had, that we have in mind and that we have moved towards and that we have spent the past 20 months acquiring, gave us exposure to all of these business lines. And the company, we believe, positioned us for exponential growth over the next 3 years. All right, these are the services that the company offers. FX trading, remittances for both MoneyGram and Western Union, bill payment, private equity. Company already has its own private equity portfolio and also has its own private credit portfolio. All right, so we spoke also about real estate. The chairman spoke about real estate, so I'll speak a little more on that. We currently own 27 acres of prime development property in Westmoreland. We have already acquired approval from the Westmoreland Parish Council for a subdivision of 90 lots, and we are looking to complete this project in short order. We believe this. If we get a high-end opportunity, we'll take it. Our strategy, as it relates to real estate, is to look at a section of the market that is not served as much, in Kingston and St. Andrew. The section of the market that provide housing solutions below 30 million. So we definitely have the opportunity to acquire more properties. How we go about in terms of our strategy of acquiring properties is that we have dialogue with, like the NHT, we get information from them on areas which are underserved and which they have a huge backlog in terms of housing need. When we acquired the 27 acre in Westmoreland, we at the time, information from the NHT was that there was a 40,000 solution needed in terms of that area. So we decided to acquire that. And there are other acquisitions which we can make in this area and also in other areas, right? Water. All right. Across our MFS group of companies also, we have other real estate holdings which as time progresses, and if we see fit and if the shareholders approve, we can also bring it on board as part of the company. All right, so we say we're positioned for growth, right? Microfinancing solutions is a top 20 in FX trading volumes over the past 2 years. Now, there are, I think, at minimum 50 authorized traders of FX. So we think that our position is good, and we think as it relates to standalone cambios, because in the FX market locally, you have authorized dealers. These would be your commercial banks and your building society, and I think there's one merchant bank left, right? That would bring you up to probably about 8 or 9 there. And then you have the cambios, which are attached to major security dealers, right? So you have like your Barritas, your JMMBs and things who their size is so large because they already have the network, they have the capital. They are almost like authorized dealers in their ability to trade and the customer base which they have. So as standalone cambios, we think that we are top 2 as it comes to trading volume, and we think that this gives us an advantage as we look to go into other areas in terms of our business environment. Because over my career, we have always, working in commercial banks, investment banks, we have always viewed FX as like a point of attack, right? Your customers, that's the easiest relationship to start with a customer, with a client. And then you can sell them other business, other products and services. So we believe that we have used this line item to build our brand. We have gotten pretty known over the years as a trading institution, and therefore we're looking now, as we look to go into other areas, that this has put us in good stead. We're the first company to offer both Western Union and MoneyGram from a single location. So most persons were offering Western Union or MoneyGram. We have looked at it and we approached the super agents, and they were saying, well, there's no regulation that prevented it, and we started offering it. And as we move forward, we will become more of a one-stop shop when it comes to money services and financial products and services. We currently have 2 locations, one in New Kingston, one in 3 Miles, and we have applied, we have already established a 3rd location on Windward Road, and we have applied for the license, and we're waiting approval to open a 3rd location, right? We also, the company also have an actively traded equity portfolio. So we, our proprietary portfolio in terms of equity trading, we trade it actively, and we, as said before, we're strategic in terms of our private equity portfolio, and we have a 30% stake in a licensed security dealer. I spoke about the real estate portfolio, and our balance sheet is really lightly leveraged. So the company's balance sheet, while most financial institutions, you'll hear they'll speak about being leveraged 5-6 times. You know, some companies as much as 10 times. Our balance sheet is lightly leveraged. We have really low levels of debt, and therefore we think that if we start to even leverage the company 3 times, then you'll realize how much value will be unlocked from the balance sheet of the company. And the company is regulated by the Bank of Jamaica. All right, so 2023 is currently being audited. For 2022, our assets, the company's asset was 300 million. The revenues were 180 million, and profit before taxes was 77 million, right? We think that this is a company that we have positioned ourselves in to own 100%. We think that we have gotten a great value as it relates to the acquisition. I would think that what the company does and where we can take the company now that it's a subsidiary of a listed company is phenomenal. All right, so these are some of the outlooks for MFS over the next 3 years. We intend to grow our assets to over $1 billion over the next 3 years. We are looking to become a full-service investment company. We're working on that. We're working hard on that. We have learned not to make announcements too early. We're looking to expand to 10 locations across Jamaica, and I'll tell you a little bit about this. Now, our research has shown that in order to become a super agent, and you guys will know who are the super agents as it relates to MoneyGram locally. Western Union is exclusive to Grace Kennedy. Grace Kennedy has an exclusive right on Western Union in Jamaica and across the Caribbean. For MoneyGram, there is no exclusive arrangement with any company. The two dominant players, Lasco Financial Services and Alliance, right? To become a we're sub-agents of Lasco. To become a super agent and deal directly with MoneyGram, we need to offer at least 10 locations, right? What will this unlock for us? We will become earners of foreign exchange, just like those guys. And then we can now have sub-agents and build our network. So our strategy is to get to 10 locations as quickly as possible, but also efficiently and profitably, and then become super agents for MoneyGram. We want to build a team of traders for both our proprietary and back-to-back trading of financial assets. Now, our model that we have looked at and that we're trying to accomplish is we have looked at Cantor Fitzgerald in the United States and to see how, as a small trading house, they are giants in terms of trading of financial assets. Our strategy is two-pronged, right? We'll have our treasurer who will take proprietary positions in financial assets for the company, and we'll have a team of traders who are margin gatherers who will buy assets from sellers of instrument and sell, and we gather margins from that. So let's use FX as an example, right? We'll have our traders, they'll buy monies from remittance companies, from hotels, from exporters, and they'll sell to end users. And we'll make margins from that, and the company will therefore have no exposure on its balance sheet. We're margin gatherers, right? It's a strategy that I've implemented in other institutions that I've worked over the years. It's a strategy that I know can earn hundreds of millions of dollars for the company, and it is one that I know we will implement successfully, right? We want to increase our private credit book because one of the aim of our company this year is to diversify our earnings, right? So if you look at our balance sheet, if you look at our P&L right now, you realize a lot of the earnings are skewed towards trading gains and fee income. Our interest income is what we're looking to build as a greater component of our earnings over the next financial year. And finally, we want to complete the project in Westmoreland and move to other projects. So before the completion of that, we would have already acquired other real estate, and we'll have a land bank of projects that we roll out over the period. So for MFS Capital Partners, here are some of the things that we're looking to do before the close of this financial year and into the next financial year, right? So microfinancing solutions, what we are announcing is that the documentation is at the company's office to transfer the shares of the company to MFS Capital Partners. That's where we are. We have already passed the regulatory stage. We have passed we have paid all the fees and at the tax office. We're at the company's office now, transferring the share. We don't know how long that will take. It shouldn't be more than a couple of weeks. We'll announce that it's done then. Until then, we say almost done. We looked into acquire a stake in at least 2 additional companies before the end of the year and into the next financial year. We're going to diversify our holdings we're going to diversify our holdings outside of our core business because we want to ensure that the risk that our shareholders are taking is diversified. We want to ensure that we're practicing proper risk management. I want to raise funds for the acquisition of 2 new targets and to build our balance sheet of our portfolio companies. The book. All right, so we have signed. I want to also announce that we have signed MOUs in terms of to take an equity stake in 3 companies. And these are strategic acquisitions because they match what we're looking to do, and they also build out our diversity in terms of our holdings. We have an MOU for a 25% stake in Icky Grant Property Masters. That's a company that has grown significantly over the last couple of years. They are now up to, I think, at least 30 agents. And we have looked at this company, and we have decided that because we're in the real estate field, it matches what we're looking to do. And one of the products that we're looking to roll out before the end of the financial year also is mortgage brokering. So we want, as I said earlier, we want to become a one-stop shop as it relates to financial products and services. So we're looking to roll out that service. We have signed a 51% MOU to acquire a 51% stake in eBusiness Solution. eBusiness Solution is over 24 years in operations in Jamaica. It's a shipping and logistics company. What we're looking at overall in terms of this acquisition and also the acquisition of 49% in postage logistics is that as we build our branch network across Jamaica, how can we offer more products and services at these outlets, and also how can we look to compete against other firms that are in this specific space. We have decided that as part of our strategy, we can offer these products from our outlets in terms of we'll be moving across 10 branches across Jamaica, so therefore logistics is a seamless and easy thing for us. The companies are strong, they are well managed, they are growing, and we are excited about these MOUs. And as we move along in terms of the due diligence process, if we complete these acquisitions, we will make an announcement to the public. All right. So I'm going to speak a little bit on a couple of the resolutions we have today in front of our shareholders. And the first is the conversion of debt to equity. Now, this resolution seeks to immediately repair the balance sheet deficit. It immediately improves the cash flow of the company because it will eliminate a number of current liabilities the company have, and it provides an innovative ways for us to complete acquisitions that we have on the table. All right, so the rights issue, I don't think I need to say much about this, but we want to have a war chest for future acquisition. We want to build the financial assets of our portfolio companies, and we want to strengthen our trading lines in terms of our financial assets trading. All right, so in terms of approval to issue shares as compensation to employees, we as a small company looking to recruit and retain top talent have to find a way to recruit these persons and to retain them beyond the salary, because we know we can't compete in terms of salary in terms of some of the large institutions. So you want to have the ability to have these employees be loyal to you. You want them to have some skin in the game, and you want to have them to have a way to retain them and to build their wealth as we look to building other shareholders' wealth. We have been good corporate citizens. Over the past 20 months, there have been a number of outreach that we have done. The chair spoke a little bit about some of them. The Towel Basic School is one that we have done several times. We have done it for the past 2 school year. We also stay close to our community and look to give back in all ways possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dino. May I invite Mr. Emile Lafayette of Baker Tilly, Strawn Lafayette, to give the auditor's report.
Chairman, members of the executive, other members of the team, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm gonna forgive the chairman for the pronunciation of my surname since it's French and I'm not sure how fluent he is in French. It's actually Lafayette.
Lafayette.
But in Jamaica, they say Lafayette, you know,
Oh,
Jamaican version. So, to the members of MFS Capital Partners Limited, formerly SSL Venture Capital Jamaica Limited, report on the audit of the consolidated and standalone financial statements. Qualified opinion. We have audited the standalone financial statements of MFS Capital Partners Limited, formerly SSL Venture Capital Jamaica Limited, the company, and the consolidated financial statements of the company and its subsidiaries, the group, set out on pages 1 to 55, which comprise a separate and consolidated statement of financial position as at the 30th of June 2023, and the separate and consolidated statement of comprehensive income, statement of change in equity, and statement of cash flows for the year then ended, and a summary of significant accounting policies and other explanatory notes. In our opinion, except for the possible effects of matters described in the basis for qualified opinion, the accompanying standalone and consolidated financial statements give a true and fair view of the financial position of the company and the group as at the 30th of June 2023, and its consolidated and standalone financial performance and cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards, IFRS, and complies with the requirements of the Jamaican Companies Act. Basis for qualified opinion. We draw attention to Note 2C in the financial statements, which indicates that the group and the company, as at the 30th of June 2023, had accumulated deficit of $138,669,712, and in 2022, $147.4 million, and $109.7 million, and in 2022, $118.2 million, respectively. Further, as at the 30th of June 2023, the group's current liabilities exceeded its current assets by $41,734,678, and in 2022 by $51,327,019. Continuation as a going concern, therefore, may be in doubt and is dependent on obtaining continued financial support. No adjustments have been made in the financial statements for any effects this might have on the carrying value of assets and liabilities as at the reporting date. The group and the company remain dependent on their parent, MFS Acquisition Limited, for continued financial support. We conducted our audit in accordance with international standards on auditing, ISAs. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statement section of our report. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. Independence. We are independent of the company and the group in accordance with International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, ISBA Code, and we have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with the ISBA Code. Key audit matters. Key audit matters are those matters that, in our professional judgment, were of most significance in our audit of the financial statements of the current period. Key audit matters are selected from the matters communicated with those charged with governance, but are not intended to represent all matters that were discussed with them. These matters were addressed in the context of our audit of the financial statement as a whole and informing our opinion thereon, and we do not provide a separate opinion on these matters other than the matter described in the basis for qualified opinion section. We encountered no additional key audit matter for disclosure. Other information. Management is responsible for the other information. The other information comprises the information included in the annual report, but does not include the consolidated and standalone financial statements and our auditor's report thereon. The annual report is expected to be made available to us after the date of this auditor's report. Our opinion on the consolidated and standalone financial statements does not cover all the other information, and we will not express any form of assurance conclusion thereon. In connection with our audit of the consolidated and standalone financial statements, our responsibility is to read other information identified above when it becomes available, and in doing so, consider whether the other information is materially inconsistent with the consolidated and standalone financial statements or our knowledge obtained in the audit or otherwise appears to be materially misstatement. When we read the annual report, if we conclude that there is a material misstatement therein, we are required to communicate the matter to those charged with governance. Responsibilities of management and the board of directors for the consolidated and standalone financial statements. Management is responsible for the preparation of financial statements that give a true and fair view in accordance with IFRS and the Jamaican Companies Act. And for such internal controls, management determines is necessary to enable the preparation of financial statements that are free from material misstatements, whether due to fraud or error. In preparing the financial statements, management is responsible for assessing the group's and the company's ability to continue as a going concern, disclosing, as applicable, matters related to going concern and using the going concern base of accounting unless management either intends to liquidate the group and the company or to cease operations or has no realistic alternative but to do so. The board of directors is responsible for overseeing the group and the company's financial reporting process. Auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the consolidated and standalone financial statements. Our objectives are to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue an auditor's report that includes our opinion. Reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance, but it's not a guarantee that an audit conducted in accordance with ISAs will always detect a material misstatement when it exists. Misstatements can arise from fraud or error and are considered material if, individually or in the aggregate, they could reasonably be expected to influence the economic decisions of users taken on the basis of these financial statements. As part of our audit in accordance with ISAs, we exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism throughout the audit. We also identify and assess the risk of material misstatement of the financial statements, whether due to fraud or error, design and perform audit procedures responsive to those risks, and obtain audit evidence that is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. The risk of not detecting a material misstatement resulting from fraud is higher than for one resulting from error, as fraud may involve collusion, forgery, intentional omissions, misrepresentation, or the override of internal control. We obtain an understanding of internal control relevant to the audit in order to design audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the group and the company's internal control. We evaluate the appropriateness of accounting policies used and the reasonableness of accounting estimates and related disclosures made by management. We conclude on the appropriateness of management's use of the going concern base of accounting and, based on the audit evidence obtained, whether a material uncertainty exists related to events or conditions that may cast significant doubt on the group and the company's ability to continue as a going concern. If we conclude that a material uncertainty exists, we are required to draw attention in our auditor's report to the related disclosures in the financial statements, or, if such disclosures are inadequate, to modify our opinion. Our conclusions are based on the audit evidence obtained up to the date of our auditor's report. However, future events or conditions may cause the group and the company to cease to continue as a going concern. We evaluate the overall presentation, structure, and content of the financial statements, including the disclosures, and whether the financial statements represent an underlying transaction and events in a manner that presents a true and fair view. We obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding the financial information of the entities or business activities within the group to express an opinion on the consolidated financial statements. We are responsible for the direction, supervision, and performance of the group audit. We remain solely responsible for our audit opinion. We communicate with the Board of Directors regarding, among other matters, the planned scope and timing of the audit and significant audit findings, including any significant deficiencies in internal control that we identified during our audit. We also provide those charged with governance with a statement that we have complied with the relevant ethical requirements regarding independence, and to communicate with them all relationships and other matters that may reasonably be thought to bear on our independence and, where applicable, related safeguards. From the matters communicated with those charged with governance, we determined those matters that were of most significance in the audit of the financial statements of the current period, and therefore the key audit matters. We describe these matters in our auditor's report unless law or regulation precludes public disclosure about the matters, or when, in extreme rare circumstances, we determine that a matter should be communicated in our report because the adverse consequences of doing so would reasonably be expected to outweigh the public interest benefits of such communication. Report on other legal and other regulatory requirements. As required by the Jamaican Companies Act, we have obtained all the information and explanation which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purpose of our audit. In our opinion, proper accounting records have been maintained so far as appear from our examination of those records, and the financial statements which are in agreement therewith give the information required by the Jamaican Companies Act in the manner so required. The engagement partner on the audit resulting in this independent auditor's report is myself, Emile Lafayette. Signed, Baker Tilly, Chartered Accountants, Kingston, Jamaica, on the 28th of September, 2023. Thank you. The chair is not here, but.
Postage Logistics. Yeah. The chairman will be back in 45 seconds.
Good, thank you, Mr. Lafayette. I will now invite our Company Secretary, Mark, to take us through the various resolutions that have been circulated.
Morning, everyone. Morning. Thank you, Chairman. We'll now vote on several resolutions. There are 8 resolutions in total, including Resolution 8.1 and 8.2, which concern the conversion of debt, which will be considered with short notice. So when we get to that, we will address the issue of short notice. 8 resolutions are to receive the reports of the Board of Directors and the audited financial statements for the year ended June 30, 2023, circulated. 2, the directors retiring by rotation and re-election. 3, reappointment of retiring auditors. 4, increase in share capital. 5, rights issue. 6, share issue. 7, approve remuneration of directors. And 8, conversion of debt to equity. All right. The first resolution, this being a hybrid meeting, we'll have the resolutions both on screen, online, and in person. So that's the first resolution to be placed on the screen for shareholders to read. All right, may I have a proposer and a seconder? All right, Mr. Stephen Dawkins, shareholder, proposing. A seconder? I see two hands shooting up at the same time. You can go ahead. Richard Peddle, seconding. Thank you. All right, for those online, you'll be able to indicate your vote by the poll window, which will be displayed, and for those in person, you can just give a show of hands, just indicating. All right. Can we have the voting on the screen, please? And for those in person, those in favor, can put up your hands, please. Those in favor. All right. Those against? All right, none against. We'll just await feedback from online. All right, the resolution has carried, Chairman.
Thank you. This resolution is carried.
All right. As for the second resolution to be placed on the screen. All right, I invite shareholders to read this second resolution. All right, what I'm seeing on screen doesn't have the second, so I'll read it out loud. It's not two separate resolutions, but so it's both Mr. Clyde Leopold Nesbeth and Mrs. Anika Jengele being re-elected as directors of the company. So I think the screen is showing one. Okay, it's separating the names, but it's one resolution with both names for clarity for the shareholders. All right, may I have a proposer and a seconder for this resolution? Okay. Okay, a representative of MFS Acquisitions Limited, recognized as proposing. And one to second. Stephen Dawkins, second. All right, thank you. All right, can we have all in favor? I see a raise of hands. Okay, all against? All right, no one against in person. All right, the resolution has carried, Chairman.
Thank you, Mark. The resolution is hereby carried.
All right, thank you. All right, the third resolution will now be displayed on the screen for shareholders to read. May I have a proposer and a seconder? All right. Remind me of your name, sir. Richard Peddle, proposing. A seconder? Stephen beat you this time. Stephen Dawkins, seconding. Thank you, sir. All right. All right, the poll window will open online, and for those in person, all in favor, please, may I see a show of hands? All right, all against? All right, unanimous again in person. A few moments for online. Okay, the resolution has carried, Chairman.
Thank you, Mark. I declare that this resolution is thereby carried.
All right, the fourth resolution will now be placed on the screen regarding the increase in share capital. May I have a proposer and a seconder? All right. Thank you. Representative of MFS Acquisition Limited. Seconder? For those online, you can second by using the raise hand function, or propose or second by using the raise hand function. Anyone in person would like to second?
I move the second.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, so we'll now vote on the motion. For those online, once again, you see a poll window. For those in person, all in favor? Can you see a show of hands, please? Okay. All against? Okay, none against in person. Let's give a few moments for online.
Not yet.
And the resolution has carried, Chairman.
Thank you. This resolution is hereby carried.
All right, resolution 5 will now be placed on the screen. All right, for those reading, this is a very long resolution, so it will be in parts. So just give a couple seconds and then you switch over. All right, thank you. May I have a proposer and a seconder for this resolution? All right, so Stephen Dawkins for proposing, thank you. And your name? Leon Sims seconding, thank you. All right, the poll window will go on online, and for those in person, all in favor, please raise hands. All right, any against? All right, none against. Let's await the results from online. All right, this resolution has also carried, Chairman.
Thank you. This resolution is hereby carried.
All right, resolution 6 will now be placed on the screen for shareholders to read. This regards the share issue. All right, may I have a proposer and a seconder, please? Okay, Theon Sims recognized as a proposer. Second, okay, representative of MFS Acquisition Limited. All right, the poll will now go up online for those in person. All in favor, please raise hands. Okay. Pardon me? Oh, no opposition to this? Okay, sure. All right, so all in favor for this? Let me just be clear.
Again.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay, one opposed. So 1 in person opposed, 2 opposed online. All right, the resolution carries.
Thank you, Mark. The resolution is hereby carried.
Then resolution 7 will now be placed on the screen. All right, may I have a proposer and a seconder for this resolution, please? All right, representative of MFS Acquisition. Seconder, please. Okay, Stephen Dawkins, thank you, sir. All right, the poll will now be placed online, and for those in person, all in favor, please raise your hands. All right, any against? Okay, this resolution has carried, Chairman.
Thank you. The resolution is hereby carried.
All right, the last resolution is resolution number 8. And I'll give just a brief background to this resolution. On the notice for this meeting and all the prior resolutions were published and issued on time based on the rules and based on the articles. However, resolution 8, though it was disclosed to shareholders on January 9 and January 11, it was not part of the the notice that was issued in January in time for the meeting. This resolution would have been published yesterday, but it concerns the same issue that was raised on January 9 and January 11 and notified to shareholders. So the request of shareholders from the board is to approve both the tabling and consideration of this resolution at this AGM, notwithstanding that less than 21 days notice was given for the said resolution, and then the substantive resolution will be considered as 8.2. So 8.1 can be placed on the screen. And for this one, I'll read them just to be clear. And earlier, both the chairman and the CEO would have addressed some of the substantive issues around this resolution and the impact on the company. So 8.1, that the shareholders hereby approve the tabling and consideration of this resolution 8.1 and resolution 8.2 at the annual general meeting of the company to be held on Tuesday, February 27, 2024 at 10 a.m. in a hybrid format at Summit 16 Chelsea Avenue, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, and online, notwithstanding that less than 21 days notice of the said resolution. And 8.2, that the company hereby approves the issue of ordinary shares as part of the authorized capital of the company on the conversion of debt to equity on terms and conditions as the directors may consider expedient in their absolute discretion. Further, that on issue, the new ordinary shares shall be converted and or confirmed to be ordinary stock units, save that same shall rank in all respects pari passu with the existing ordinary stock units of the company, and that the directors and the secretary of the company do execute all steps and documents and are hereby authorized to execute all steps and documents in order to implement and effectuate the said conversion of debt to equity. All right, so the resolutions have been read and placed on the screen. May I have a proposer and a seconder? representative of MFS Acquisition. Seconder, please. All right, thank you. So I have a proposer and a seconder. Resolution will be placed on the screen for a vote. Online and in person, we'll invite persons to raise their hands once again. So we're voting first on 8.1, which would authorize the resolution to be considered and approved, and then 8.2, which is the substantive resolution. So regarding 8.1, could we have a show of hands, all in favor? Okay. All opposed? All right, and we await online the feedback. Okay, the resolution has carried 8.1. Thank you. And now 8.2, the substantive resolution. All in favor? Just leave your hands up for a second. Just making sure we capture. Okay. All right. Any opposed? Okay. None opposed in person. We await online. Okay. The resolution 8 has carried, Chairman.
Thank you, Mark. So both resolutions are carried. Thank you. You can still, yeah. Right. Okay, so colleagues, we are at the final stretch of this meeting, and we are at the question and answer stage. So I invite for the next 20 minutes any questions from the floor or online. Yes, this gentleman, black and red.
Hi, good afternoon. Perfect. So I have a question. My name is Theon Sims. Given that MFS Acquisition owns over 50% of MFS Capital Partners, will MFS Acquisition take up its full rights in the upcoming rights issue or renounce its rights to another shareholder or shareholders?
Dina?
Okay, so I'm advised that the intention would be to participate, but of course, final decisions as to numbers and so on would come closer to when the rights issue is about to go. But the advice is that we would participate.
State your name.
Pleasant good morning. My name is Lancel Bloomfield, shareholder. I have 2 comments and about half dozen questions, but I will go quickly. Mr. Chairman, my first comment is MFS came to be listed on the stock market by way of a reverse takeover of SSL Venture Capital, from which I was a shareholder in. SSL Venture Capital took over C2 Music. And these are 2 failed companies from which many of us as shareholders suffered badly. Since your inception on the stock market, we, the shareholders in the company, have not had a face-to-face meeting. This is the first. I wrote to you a letter when you just took over SSL Venture Capital, to attend a meeting, and I got no response. I held the shares for some time and then sold it. Seeing the notice on your website for this meeting, I decided to purchase a small amount of the shares to come and speak my mind. I would like to see, as a shareholder, going forward, that the meetings are open for the shareholders to attend in accordance with the Companies Act and to scrutinize the books. Because from the inception of you being on the stock market, you have not allowed us to participate, and I am not ceding my right to a computer, which I don't have. So that is my first comment.
All right. Chairman has asked that we take the questions in turn. So as secretary, on behalf of the secretary as SPISEC, I will begin by addressing that. So the first AGM that was held with this board was December last year, which had
November.
which was, yes, online, but it did have persons invited to participate in person. What we will say, though, is that I think the meeting today is a signal of the direction the company is moving in terms of opening up facilitation for these sort of in-person opportunities. You'd remember that COVID would have restricted a lot of those opportunities. And while we acknowledge that you don't have access to a computer, certainly today is a demonstration that you and others that don't have access to a computer are remembered, are cared for, and your voice can be heard. So please don't feel any way about it. Many companies have been doing virtual only meetings. This is a hybrid meeting, so there are persons online and persons in person, such as yourself. So we thank you very much for coming.
Okay, I accept. Next comment. As a relatively new company at the stock exchange, I do not want you to suddenly adapt the bad practices of some company concerning the notices of the company's meeting. The law requires that you place a notice in a daily newspaper for your shareholders, and also to place that notice on the bulletin page of the stock exchange. Now, if you check, I have it on my phone there. If you check the recent bulletin page and you check the last 3 bulletin page of the Jamaica Stock Exchange, the notice for the meeting is nowhere to be found. Okay. It's only on your website. So I would like you to address that.
All right.
I can open my phone right now and you look on the bulletin page.
Yes. So
it's not there.
You can show me your phone after, but Chairman, through the Chairman. So I'll start by saying the first notice was actually issued all the way in August 2023, which was included in the annual report, so that would have been dated October 28, 2023. The second notice was issued February 7, which was an amended notice that was published on the JSE website. February 7, and that would have satisfied the 21-day requirement. It was actually submitted to them on the 6th, but published on the 7th. And then the last notice, that's when the form of proxy. The last notice, which we discussed in the meeting, only affected resolution number 8. I'll also say that the notice was published in a newspaper. I would be happy to discuss that with you afterwards as well. But you are right. Shareholders like you keep companies on their toes, and it's very important, and that's why we take great effort to make sure that these things are done properly every single time. So thank you for raising it. It is there, and we'd be happy to have further dialogue with you to make sure that you're seeing the channels that it's published in.
Okay. I won't be long. Just these questions. What percentage of the microfinance market do you now have?
All right, so the company, well, the company's name is Microfinancing Solutions, and the origins was microlending. We have subsequently moved from micro loans to private credit, which is a different and more secure form of loans. Added to that, even if we were still in the microloan space, because most of these companies are private, I don't think we'll be able to provide you with that information in terms of percentage.
Could you just work that out for future meetings and let us know, sir?
Well, we're not in the microloan space anymore, but in terms of private credit for future meetings, we will.
All right. You have mentioned a proposed stake in a security dealers company and a venture in some real estate of which some listed company has tried and failed. With that said, what other revenue stream will you venture in to grow this company?
Well, in terms of the revenues of the company, we are a trading company, so we get trading gains from foreign exchange, equity trading, and bond trading. We also get fee income from money services, which is remittances. Persons collect their remittances at our locations, and we get fees from that. We also collect interest income from our private credit portfolio. And yeah, as you spoke about the real estate venture, our approach to real estate is a little bit more conservative. I mean, I'm not commenting on other companies' real estate venture, but we think that the segment of the market that we're venturing into is the segment which there's high demand for and low supply, which is the below 30 million market.
Okay. What is the dividend policy of this company?
All right, so the dividend policy that we have discussed is 25% of our net profit. Of course, that we can vary that as the needs of the company is taken into consideration. So we have a high liquidity, or if we have upcoming project, we can increase that policy. But also if we have a situation where there are immediate needs for cash, we might vary that. To start, in terms of dividend, we don't anticipate that we'll do our first dividend before the financial year, the close of the financial year 2024 to 2025. The company's return to profitability is anticipated to be, Microfinancing Solutions will contribute just 1 quarter to this financial year. Our financial year ends the 30th of June. So it will contribute just 1 quarter to this financial year. So we wouldn't consider a dividend this financial year, but next financial year.
Thank you.
Just a moment, Mr. Bloomfield.
Yes, sir.
Okay. There are a number of persons online who are waiting to pose questions. So
My last question,
this
Mr.
is your last question.
The last question.
Thank you.
Not a problem. On the matter of disclosure, the disclosing of the top 10 shareholders and the senior managers of the company needs to be in the annual report. What is going to be done to address this? Because I cannot find it anywhere in the annual report.
I think the top 10 shareholders is in the
It's online, but
it's in the annual report, and it's published. It's also published
I have not seen it in this.
quarterly. When we publish, it's online at the stock exchange, and when we publish our quarterly reports, it's also listed.
Could we get it in the printed copy, sir? Because we need to know who owns the company.
All right, so we'll endeavor to ensure that going forward.
Thank you
it's in the
very
annual
much.
report.
Thank you, Mr. Bloomfield. Very much.
Any more?
Yes, so Chairman, a question online from Ryan Purcell. Since the tax break is no longer a factor, why not migrate to the main market where capital raise would be unlimited? or would you want to stay on the junior market and be able to list a subsidiary on the market as well?
All right, so the answer is twofold. To migrate to the main market, it has to be timely and strategic in that the fees associated with the main market is more than the junior market. So we would have to grow the company in terms of our revenues and our capital to consider becoming a main market company. But it's something that we have discussed internally, and we'll consider that. There is also the second part of the question. It is our intention that we will be listing portfolio companies on the Junior Stock Exchange in the future, and we're hopeful in the near future also.
All right, another question regards the rights issue. Sorry. Oh, sorry.
I don't know if you're ready for them, but I have some questions.
After, yeah, we'll take it.
You should get it in November 20.
Right. So this is I'll read this one from online. Matthew Preston has asked, have you engaged a broker for the rights issue? If so, which broker have you engaged, and will they be underwriting the rights issue?
All right, so we have, what we'll say on that is that we have had the conversation. We have not formally signed the agreement, so we wouldn't announce until we have formally signed an agreement.
Okay, Mr. Dawkins.
Morning, fellow shareholders. All right, so I actually have 4 questions. One of them briefly was brought up by Mr. Bloomfield, but I'm going to go with 2 of them are somebody asked me to ask on their behalf. My name is Stephen Dawkins. I'm speaking today because the concern I have regarding the proposed resolution number 6, which was actually passed, that was brought up. We know it was read already. In my opinion, the resolution for unlimited and unrestricted further dilution for us current shareholders without creating value. Directors could issue those persons whatever number of shares you choose, likely a significant number of shares, which are then heavily sold on the market and further stagnate the stock price, especially if there's no similar driver of demand on the buy side. It's my belief that, like all other shareholders, the shares must be bought on the market instead of arbitrarily created. At the very least, there should be some clearly documented constraints on the number of shares, number of times it can be issued, some kind of vesting period, etc. An unrestricted attitude toward creating and issuing of new shares, to me, is damaging to increasing shareholder value and is unfair to current shareholders who have to buy and sell in the marketplace. I ask that the resolution be amended. Failing that, the directors later reconsider, or institute some clearly defined limits to the resolution. What assurances can be put in place to address these concerns?
All right, so I think we're not trying to discount the concern of the shareholders by any means. The proposal, the resolution that we carried, it's something that is normal and done internationally and also locally, right? And of course, we will have a vesting period in terms of how soon these shares can be traded or sold. And of course, as the executive and directors, we will have and will communicate to the shareholders the pool that we are considering, which in the scheme of the entire share, the number of shares for the company won't be a significant amount. So we'll consider that. The reason why we had the resolution a little broadly is that we're a growing company. We're trying to recruit talent, and as such, we wanted, if we were to say, well, 10 shares, now we have maybe, 5 executive members. If we're say 10 shares, 2 per executive, as we grow, this might not be sufficient. So we will provide to the market the vesting period, in terms of a proposed vesting period. We will propose to the market in terms of the number of shares, in terms of a pool that is allocated for this purpose. It's not, I can assure the market that this pool of shares will not be an amount that would significantly dilute any shareholders that is now in place. But we'll take the questions and we'll provide additional information surrounding the resolution.
All right. Just a small add-on to that. Is this proposal just intended for a certain period, or is this the policy going forward?
No, it's for a certain period, because as we grow, we intend to implement a strong ESOP for employees, which will be administered in the traditional way, where shares are bought from the market and allocated to.
Okay. Thanks very much for that. Just as a follow-on to the dividend question earlier, do you have an intended frequency for the, meaning every quarter, semi-annually?
Well,
not
in the initial stages, it would not be more frequent than semi-annually.
Okay. Next one. What time on March 1st, 2024, will a complete copy of the Articles of Incorporation be posted to the MFS Capital Partners website for all shareholders to easily access?
The Articles of Incorporated?
Yeah, Articles of Incorporation for MFS Cap, or be posted on
MFS
MFS
Capital
Cap
Limited
website, right?
We can do that later.
All right. And Bar Central and Muse 360, what are the current assets that each subsidiary holds?
All right, so Muse 360 has no assets. Bar Central has very little assets. There are a number of, it was a event planning type of business, so there will be some things associated with that, such as bar counters, tools, counters, and so on. They are in storage, but there are, especially like the bar counters and so on, they're not what is now being used in these events. So they have not a lot. They don't have a lot of value.
Okay. All right. Thanks very much.
Okay. Sorry. Thank you. Next question. Mark, you have any other questions?
I'm just
online?
looking through.
Well, you can go ahead.
Okay. We have.
So I came late, so excuse me if I talk about anything that was already said. That's just a disclaimer. The first question was part of what he said, the ESOP that he planned to enact. Could we get a little bit more on the timeline?
Sorry to cut you, sir. Could you introduce yourself and just indicate if you're a shareholder?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm Malik Thomas. I'm a shareholder.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thomas.
Sorry about that. The ESOP. So it's just two questions, really. He asked a lot of the questions I was concerned about. The ESOP, when would you plan to enact this? I don't know if it was said earlier, as I said before. It's just a question for my clarification.
All right, so we would look to start that process in terms of June 2025.
2025.
Right, so we are looking to, as I said earlier, we have just 1 quarter of our new acquisition that will be a part of this financial year. Our next financial year starts June 2024. We want to have 1 full year operation as such before we look to implement that program.
And sorry, if I can say, all the questions and concerns about the ESOP will be outlined in a policy that we will be working on to address this particular issue.
Correct. Okay, that sounds good. The second question is more about the acquisitions. You said that one of them will be on this year's financial.
So we're talking about microfinancing solutions?
Yeah, It will be on this year's.
Right. So as I said, you're a little late, but
yeah, that's the thing.
We have already said that the final stage of the acquisition, the documentation is with the company's office to transfer the shares to MFS Capital Partners. So we don't anticipate that will take very long. as soon as that is done, we'll make the announcement that the acquisition is complete, and then, yeah.
All right. Sorry, that's one last question. I'm sorry. So sorry, guys. Yeah, the last one would be around the acquisition. So you, I think it was sometime last year you stated about 2 acquisitions. One is the MFS Solutions. The next one would be, I'm not sure. But the question is, the rights issue, the funds would be used to purchase the 2 acquisitions, or what exactly would it be used for?
And of course, when we issue the right issues, we'll have, when our broker put forward the rights issue, we'll have comprehensive disclosure as the use of funds and so on, right? But the idea is twofold, right? One, to pay a portion of the cost to acquire the company, and to build out the balance sheet of the portfolio companies.
Okay.
No, so any further questions, Chairman, can be addressed by the company in its discretion online.
Okay, thank you.
Right. So what I'd say, is that you can, persons online, if their questions have not been answered satisfactorily, you can just submit them, and we'll try to answer them as best as possible.
Mr. Sims, one last question.
Yes, one last question. Sorry about that, guys. So, do you plan to publish the financial statements of MFS prior to the announcement of the record date of the upcoming rights issues, so that prospective investors could understand microfinancing solutions a bit better and possibly buy shares on the market so they can participate in the rights issue?
Well, after the company is, the share transfer is completed, the financials of the company will be published as part of the consolidated financials for MFS Capital Partners, so the data will be public knowledge.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your questions. We hope that they have been satisfactorily addressed. We are at the stage now where ask, is there any other business? Any other business? Twice. Any other business? Thrice. There be no other business. I hereby terminate this meeting on a motion moved by Robert Barnes and seconded by Mr. Dawkins. All in favor? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this meeting is terminated.